is Corporal Castillo, and I will be giving a presentation on accountability and the leader and how they tie into each other. We have an unclassified document here today, so I ask that you hold all questions to the end and follow along with the handouts that I have given you, and be sure to take notes, and I will answer all your questions at the end. So our purpose today, we're going to view the traits from both being accountable and being a leader, what accountability and leadership is and how they tie together, and we're going to discuss what makes a leader and makes that leader accountable. So what is accountability? That's what we'll start with. Being accountable is taking responsibility for all the things you can control. So anything that you do and have control over, you should be held accountable for that, and that's what makes you a great accountable leader. Being accountable is a key component to being a leader. Without proper accountability, you're not going to be able to lead in the right directions in the right ways. So you need to be accountable for your actions in order to lead your peers and subordinates. What is leadership? The art of motivating a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. So we're going to have our peers and subordinates under us, and we're going to try and lead them into the right direction to work together so that we may accomplish the mission in a timely manner. The leadership definition captures the essentials of being able and prepared to inspire others. So being a leader is not only you showing up and being accountable and doing what you have to do, but inspiring others to do what they need to do and make sure that we are getting our mission done. Because without the team, there's no way you're ever going to accomplish everything. So that's why these leaders are important, to bring the team together and push us all towards the main goal. Accountability and leadership. The accountability occurs when individuals reliably deliver on their commitments, showing others they can be trusted and do what they say they'll do. So we need to be sure that these promises that we're making to our subordinates, we're following through with that. It builds the trustworthiness and makes sure soldiers and subordinates, peers, whatever, be sure that they can trust you. And leaders take it a step further and demonstrate accountability by taking responsibility for their outcomes of the actions and decisions, forming positive or negative results. So as the leader, you are the one that's in charge of everyone, so you should take the responsibility for everyone, good or bad. Obviously, you need to ensure that your peers and subordinates are also getting their proper awards or recommendations or counselings as well. But at the end of the day, it all falls on the leader, whether it succeeds or fails. The importance of accountability in leaders. Accountability is an important skill to possess as a leader. It sets the pace for all other leaders by making them understand the importance of accountability. So without you being accountable, you can't expect anybody else to be accountable, whether it be other leaders, peers, subordinates, anything like that. So you're setting a standard that you would like others to follow. By having accountability as a leader, they can deliver on all promises and maintain healthy lines of communication between leaders and peers. So again, this being accountable derives back to keeping that open line of communication, being sure that your peers and subordinates can talk to you, and ensure that you're not, that you're a trustworthy person to talk to, so they feel like they're able to confide in you with anything that's going on. Being the gold standard in all that you do, making people follow you and strive to become the standard that you have set and follow yourself. So again, we're setting a standard and we're following it. We don't want to be those people that set the standard and don't even follow it ourselves. So by setting it and following it yourself, you're motivating other people to follow that standard as well, because they see that, wow, this leader over here is setting standards and enforcing the standards and being the standard. So it's you're not being a hypocrite about it. That's what you want to ensure that you're doing, because nobody wants to listen to somebody that can't even follow their own standards, whether that be grooming, PT, anything. Just make sure that you're always following the same standards that you're setting. Some accountability traits. So having perspective. So being able to look at everything in a clear picture, in an open world view, making sure that you're stepping back and saying, this is what's going to happen if I do this. Accepting risk. There's going to be risk associated with everything, whether they're high or they're low. You need to be able to accept those as an accountable leader. Adapting to situations. So no matter what happens, things change. They come down the line super late. You need to be flexible with that and adapt to those situations. Sorting through the details. We're going to make sure that we find out what details are necessary to pass down, important to pass down, and what can just be held to ourselves or maybe not as necessary, so we shouldn't focus on them as much. Knowing the task. So obviously, in order to lead and be accountable for what we are leading, we have to know what we're doing. We can't just sit there and ask other people to do things when we don't even know what we're doing, right? Knows how to solve all problems inherent with those tasks. So not only knowing how to do the task, but maybe a problem comes up, you have to know how to solve that problem so that you can continue with the mission and continue that task. Trustworthiness. Obviously, nobody wants a leader that they can't trust. So just making sure that we're keeping that open line of communication and trustworthiness amongst the unit, the peers, the leaders, the subordinates, everybody. And accepts all responsibilities for actions, products, judgments, and policies. So again, accepting anything that happens, good or bad. You want to be sure that you also have that character and that integrity to own up if something didn't go well. Leadership traits. So we got integrity. You want to have integrity in everything you do. So have great character. What are you doing when nobody's watching? Empathy. You want to be able to empathize with your subordinates, peers, anything like that. Again, builds that line of trustworthiness. Humility. You want to be humble. You can't let the same way you can't let the negative things impact you, you can't let the positive things impact you and change you. You want to remain the same person through the high times and the low times. So remaining humble, resilience, being able to bounce back whenever something bad happens or even something good happens. The same thing as humility. You want to be able to bounce back and be that exact same person that you were before. Vision. You want to be able to see what needs to happen. So not just what's in front of you right now, but what's going to be in front of you later on as well. Influence. You want to influence everybody in the things that you do in a positive way. Again, there are some negative impacts that happen, but you always want to positively influence everybody through those negative impacts. Positivity. Always remain positive. Nobody wants to work for somebody that keeps the morale low and never wants to be at work or always wants to complain about tasks that need to be done. We need to remain positive there. And accountability. We discussed accountability earlier. A great leader has accountability. Always taking charge and responsibility for what's going on. So are we being leaders or are we being bosses? We have two different ways of, leadership, I would say. And I always like to be a leader here. Leaders are accountable, they take charge, they lead from the front, and they work with peers and subordinates. So they're working with you to get the task done, showing you how they should be done instead of telling you how they should be done. We have our bosses who speak but don't do, lead from the back and tell people what to do instead of showing them what to do. So they're telling you, hey, this needs to be done, and not even showing you how to do it or even explaining why you need to do it. So make sure we're always being leaders and not bosses. So how it ties together. So from the lowest to the highest of leaders and subordinates, accountability is key. Whether you are a leader or not, you always want to maintain accountability for anything that you do. Accountability keeps the unit well driven, which is why it's most important. One of the most important attributes leaders possess. So again, we've discussed accountability and what it does for the unit and how it makes you a better leader. So we want to make sure that everybody is being accountable. So that's why I put that as one of the most key traits for leaders to possess. Helps eliminate time and effort spent on distracting activities and unproductive behaviors. So your mission first, you're driving that nail, making sure that we are getting the things that need to be done, and not sitting around talking about nonsense or anything like that. And it can increase productivity, granting you better leadership skills. So this goes back with the time wasting. We're being more productive, making our leadership skills better, and accepting those better rewards for being a great leader. And then so to summarize it all, our traits associated with accountability, we should know what those are. We should know the traits associated with leadership. We should know what's expected of all of us. We should set the standard and enforce it at the same time. So set the standard, be the standard, while enforcing the standard at the exact same time. How being accountable makes us better leaders. And we should ensure that we are being leaders and not bosses. Again, that we are leading from the front, showing people how to do it to the standard instead of telling people how to do it. And then when they don't get it right, being upset with them. So that will conclude my accountability and the leader presentation. Are there any questions at this time?